All right, let's talk about life. So, in the beginning, there. No, not that. Not that life. This movie, Life. This stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ryan Reynolds. At least those are the big names attached to it. Of course, there are other actors, but we only seem to care about the ones that get people's attention because of their celebrity status. To be fair, though, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson are the main characters. Spoilers for the film, of course. They are the last two surviving members of the crew when the movie closes, and they are the focus of the last act of the film. So they're definitely the main stars. And then Ryan Reynolds is kind of like that and Ryan Reynolds character where he gets killed off maybe 30 minutes into the movie, but it has enough screen time to justify his name being attached to the film. There's definitely films you watch where obviously the big name is in there on the poster and whatnot, and they're dead in like 10 seconds, or their cameo in the movie is so fast, and that's always frustrating. But Ryan Reynolds is in this plenty to justify his name being on the poster. Anyway, okay, so I saw this in theaters, and I was kind of whatever on it. I had my criticisms of it, but I was very excited to go back and check it out again because since I saw it, it's gotten quite a cult following to it, and a lot of people seem to really like it, and I was like, maybe I missed something. I'm looking forward to going back. And the reason I have this on Blu-ray, despite not being so excited about it the first time, is because one of y'all out there sent this to me in a package, and I saw it and was like, oh, I should revisit that one day because the cast is stellar. It's got a hell of a budget, and so I checked it out. Let's talk about it. So we have the International Space Station up there where different countries come together and they all live in harmony and unity to be scientists. And we've got this manned station where there is a probe coming back from Mars. Something happens to it, and so they have to kind of make an executive decision of like how to do this. How can we catch this thing because it's moving at a high velocity, and they try out this maneuver that ends up being successful, although very dangerous, but it does end up working, and they catch the thing. They're all excited about it, but of course we know it would have been better had that thing been jettisoned out into space, never to be seen again. They would have been all bummed about it, of course. Billions of dollars would have been wasted. I'm sure they would have been blamed for it. I'm sure they would have thought, like, oh my god, that's the worst thing that could have happened. This sucks. Why did this happen to us? But in all reality, things would have been much better for them. And there is a little bit of that kind of irony that happens throughout this film, where it's like you think things are going well for you, and it's like, yes, this is the best outcome, and it's like that's the worst outcome. And I guess that's just film in general, but I was noticing it a decent amount here, where I was like, because I'd seen the movie before, I guess, as part of it, but like when certain things would happen, I'd be like, well, you're not going to be so excited about that in a minute or in an hour. So anyway, the special effects these days, and this movie's older, right? I think this movie is from like 2017 or something, which is kind of crazy. I didn't think it was that old, but yeah, 2017, crazy. Back when they made like Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks and Bill Paxton and Ron Howard and all them, they had to film the weightless scenes in the Vomit Comet which is a plane that goes up really high and then drops, and you get like 30 seconds or something of time where they can film and everyone's weightless, and then they have to go back up and then drop and then go back up and drop, to get all that footage, which is dangerous, number one, right? You could literally die doing scenes like that if the pilot doesn't, if it stalls the plane or whatever. So obviously this is a much safer way to do it. Now, of course, in the Apollo 13 stuff, the weightlessness that you're seeing is not CGI, it's not green screen, it's not any of that stuff. It really is them floating. But yeah, that's a hell of a thing to commit to in a film, where you're like, I'm going to go up in a plane and plunge towards the Earth at tremendous speed, enough to push against gravity, to have me have the appearance that I'm in space. That's a hell of a commitment to make. And obviously nowadays that's not how things are done. We don't do it that way anymore. And yeah, I mean, I can't tell, right? Like in this, the effects are incredible. It looks like they're out in space. And we see this all the time now in film. Anytime people are in space in movies, there's weightlessness, there's no gravity, and people are floating around, objects are floating around, and it's just seamless. It's just, you can't tell at all anymore. And those are those kind of like things we take for granted. And maybe if you were making films before and after, you would appreciate them much more. But as someone who grew up on film and does like the behind the scenes making of stuff, I always do think about those kinds of things while watching these types of films, where I'm like, this is how they used to do it. This is what it used to look like. This is what it is now, and this is how it looks. I don't know. I guess I just like to appreciate those advancements, because, yeah, I mean, ultimately, if enough people tried to do the vomit comet thing, inevitably you're gonna have some fatalities, and it's cool to see that they've perfected that. I don't think doing it realistically would look any different. I don't think it would look any better at this point, right? So anyway, the cool thing too, there's some good camera work in this movie, and I guess to just kind of let the cat out of the bag here, I actually really liked this time. I came up on it quite a bit, which is good. I'm glad that I'm here with it, as opposed to where I was before. I much prefer liking movies. I much prefer enjoying my time. I know, crazy, that there's so many people now that seem to like hating films and enjoy wasting their time, because bitching about things seems to be cool, and you get way more attention being negative. That I'm 100% positive on. Just on this channel alone, anytime I post anything positive, it gets no response. If I post anything negative, it gets an incredible reaction. So yeah, people definitely prefer people to be critical and in a negative way. Anyway, so the camera work in this is very cool. You've got a lot of, like, because you are in space and there is no orientation to things, like everything's kind of spinning, and gravity isn't pulling you down, and there's no fixed axis like point where you're just like right here in the center. The camera kind of rotates in the opening with the space station and them, and kind of gives you a look at their everyday life, which is cool. I liked that. It doesn't overuse it though. That's the good thing. It doesn't try to do that the whole film. It doesn't turn into irreversible, right, where the camera is spinning and flipping and moving the whole film, making you feel completely disoriented. It just does it to kind of drive the point home of their everyday life, which I dig, and I think is well done. And this is a very well made film. Like, it has a really good budget to it. It's very well shot. It's very well acted. All the special effects and everything are top notch. So this is definitely a bigger Hollywood production, and there's a good amount of talent and care put behind it. So I can see why people dig it, and it's very like, I guess, realistic take on this subgenre of horror and sci-fi thriller, where they find life on Mars. I mean, this is a whole topic we could talk about here for an hour, but I'll try to condense that as much as possible. You know, I'd heard this theory, or this hypothesis, that life in this galaxy was, or in this solar system, was started on Mars, and something happened, and it was hit by meteors or something, and some of the debris that came off of those hits fell to Earth, like came off the planet, fell to Earth, brought some of the the life with it, like cells and whatnot, and it hit the planet, and then it grew from there. And we're all Martians, like, this whole planet is made up of life that was actually started on Mars. I don't know what validity that that has to it at all, like as far as like what even made them guess such a thing. But it's cool, interesting idea that we're all technically Martians, and life started on Mars and just kind of got transplanted here. I don't know if I subscribe to something like that. I'm definitely open to it. And of course, if they were to go to Mars and collect specimens and something, and to bring it back here, and we have a common genetic markers or whatever, how the hell they figure that kind of stuff out, I think that would kind of be mostly irrefutable evidence that, like, yeah, we're linked to some life that was on Mars. That would be earth shattering for sure. That would definitely, I mean, obviously the people who don't want to believe it wouldn't believe it, especially if they have like hardcore religious beliefs, and they were like, no, God made us and he put us on this planet. That's what I'm always going to believe, no matter what evidence to the contrary comes out. I mean, how are you ever going to get to people like that? You just aren't. But for the rest of us, yeah, I don't know. How would that affect you? How would that affect your life? I mean, I guess for me, it would just be like, oh, that's crazy, right? Like, wow, another piece to the puzzle. Time to go to work. You know, like, it's not going to change my worldview much at all, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We're all still alive on this planet, and we still got to survive and live. So, I don't know. I wouldn't have an existential crisis like it would create for a lot of people, if they did believe it. But yeah, to think that they could go over there and grab these soil samples and find some kind of nucleus or cell or whatever the hell they find. I'm no scientist, and to bring it to life, and for the guy to kind of adjust the settings of like the oxygen and whatnot to make it more hospitable to the environment that it might have encountered, to bring it to life, and for it to kind of exponentially grow, and to explain the composition of this molecular structure, and to say that it is kind of like this perfect being in a way, where every cell in its body isn't just like this thing or that thing, it's all things, right? Like, the cells in its body are not only muscle, but they're also brain, and they're also this, and they're like, so the whole being is like unified from tip to tip. It's just like, it's all a brain, it's all muscle, it's all the things. That was cool. That was an interesting explanation of this creature, and how quickly it can adapt, and how dangerous it is, and and Yeah, I thought the creature was very, very well thought out and scary, and obviously with the way the movie ends, we're fucked. We're fucked. I don't really know what's happening inside the capsule at the end, because there's kind of like threads everywhere. So I don't know if that's it expanding or what not. I didn't really understand that exactly, because from what we saw, it just kind of crawled into people and ate them from the inside, and grew exponentially from consuming some of their flesh or DNA or whatever it is, and it came out and it was bigger. And I don't know. I didn't really understand all the you know stuff that was coming out of him at the end, because of what we had seen previously. But maybe I'm misremembering. So yeah, let me know if I got that one wrong. But anyway, and I know it's for the good of humanity, and whatnot, but when they experiment on little rats, and we see them in the labs and whatnot, it pisses me off. It's so upsetting when that rat is like sitting there and it's just like, you know, tied down, and it's just waiting to be experimented on, and that's its life. It's like, we just don't value those lives at all. I should say, more so, is that we value human life so much above all other life, and I don't think that's right. I don't. It would be a conversation for me to have that would be more long form, and do it with my wife, who of course would be on one side, and I'd have to play devil's advocate on the other side of like, okay, like, you know, at the end of the day, how much is this life worth versus this life? And anyway, that's a whole different can of worms. As I said, like, this kind of movie and doing this more free form talk that we do here on the channel, and my rants going off into 15 different directions. This is definitely the kind of movie where I could make this video like 3 hours long, sitting here and just kind of rambling about Mars and life. And I think somebody who's watching this right now is like, he's already doing that. Oh no, it could get much worse. much worse. I'm trying to rein it in a bunch, and of course it's kind of making me stumble over my words, because I have like 500 fucking things to say about all of these things. But I guess I'll just end this on that. Us humans, we have an arrogance to us that our life matters above all else, and in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't, right? I saw this thing recently that said that one of the rarest and most valuable resources in our galaxy, or even in the universe, I think, was wood, was trees, because there's like no wood any other place that they can find in the universe as of right now. But that they have planets they know of that are made out of pure diamonds. Like, diamonds are plentiful, and we even on this planet, we even eradicate and house, hide, destroy like 90+% of our diamonds to inflate the cost of them, because the diamond mines, the people who have studied these things and whatnot, say that if we were to actually put out all of the diamonds that were found, diamonds would be like have as much worth as water. Like, it's nothing. Like, there's so much diamond on the earth that diamonds are thought of as this like precious material, that it's like so rare, and people pay arms and legs for this bullshit, and it's like there's endless amounts of it. And I've just never understood any of this stuff. I'm always that person on the outside being like, what, like, why is it so much more valuable than another thing, right? Like gold or something. People put such a value on gold, and it's like, other than being pretty, it's not even really that good of a metal. Like, it's not a very good conductor. It's not very strong, right? Like, gold is kind of shitty. It's like a shitty metal, really. It's not really good for much, right? There's like steel and stuff like that. That's cheap as fuck, and it's way more versatile. It's way more useful. So the fact that we put such value on the weirdest fucking things in this world. We value the dumbest shit, I swear. Like, and it's a good thing that water is cheap and plentiful currently. That probably won't be the case sometime in the future when water wars begin. But as of right now, water is the most important resource that we currently have, and it's, for all intents and purposes, kind of like very, very, very cheap, like sometimes free. Which, as I said, is good. I don't want it to be where you're paying $1,000 for a bottle of water. Obviously, that would be insane, and everyone would die. But it's just weird. Humans are fucking idiots. Anyway, and I think Ryan Reynolds' character mentions the movie Reanimator, and Rebecca Ferguson's like says something, and he's like too obscure, or she says obscure or something, and I'm like, is Reanimator obscure? I guess it is. I mean, in our circle, it's not. But I guess to like most people, if I was to go out and be like, you ever heard of Reanimator? I'd say no. I'd say mostly that's probably an obscure film for most normies. The only movie I can think of right now off the top of my head that talks about Reanimator outside of this film is American Beauty, when Wes Bentley and Kevin Spacey are outside smoking the joint together, and they're like, reminiscing about a scene where the head goes down on the girl in Reanimator. But yeah, I guess it is an obscure film. Obviously in our lives, Reanimator is a big thing. I even have a Reanimator board game. I mean, it can't be that obscure. Okay, I should say, let's preface it by saying, like, if a fucking game, if a movie has a board game, it's probably not that obscure. Right? Let's be honest here. So anyway, all right. They name the alien here Calvin. I don't know any significance to that name, so if you can give me like a reason why, like some kind of inside thing that like the movie named it Calvin because of what, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have anything. The only thing that's coming to mind at the moment, which this is obviously not it at all, but in Back to the Future, obviously, like George McFly thinks that Marty is from Mars, and his mom thinks his name is Calvin Klein. That's it. That's the first thing that came to my head when I was thinking about that. Calvin from Mars. Anyway, I highly, highly doubt that is the reason. Wouldn't that be hilarious if that was the reason? There's also something that I feel like, a lot of people don't know, or like it never gets talked about because why the fuck would it? But yeah, you can't stay in space for very long. I shouldn't say very long. You can stay up there quite a while, but you'll die if you stay in space too long, which is super interesting. Obviously not something they ever talk about in these sci-fi fantasy films like Star Wars or whatever. There is something in Star Wars called blood burn, which can happen to you the first time you go to light speed. It can actually create a sickness in you that will end up killing you, and it affects a small portion of beings. But that's like deep Star Wars lore. I forget what book I first saw that in when I read it. I'm trying to think of which one I saw it in right now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Nobody gives a shit. But yeah, he's up there for 400 and some odd days, and there's just something that happens to your body. Part of it's radiation, Um, if you believe that people go into space, if you're a dumbass that thinks that the world is flat and that there's a dome that you can't get through or some nonsense. But for us, people who aren't morons, yes, when you go up into space, there's radiation, um, and yeah, you have no. Anyway, it's interesting that you get so sick being up there. And if you watch the astronauts who come back from space who have been up there for a little while, they're really fucked up. Like, I remember watching this video of this astronaut woman who came back, and she was like doing a press conference, and she was just standing there, and she just like passed out because she was just like reacclimating to Earth's gravity and whatnot. Is like harsh on the body. So these people are hardcore, dude. Astronauts are no joke. But yeah, the real record for consecutive days in space is 437 days by some Russian, which of course it was a Russian. And then you have our Chinese guy who's played by a very Japanese actor. But of course, I guess a Japanese person could be born in China. Regardless. I just found that funny because he's always like Japanese as fuck in every movie he's in, but in this one he has like a Chinese thing because the space station is a collaboration between the United States, Russia, and China, so they had to make him Chinese and not Japanese. Funny they couldn't find a Chinese actor to play the role. I feel like if other races played other country, like represented other countries, people would be pissed off about it. But in this case, I don't think anyone noticed. I don't know what that says, but there you go. But he has a kid while he's in space, which is hard. Like, fuck, dude. Like, you went up there while your wife was pregnant, I'm assuming. I mean, I would hope, right? It's not yours if you didn't. But like, I'm saying, like, did he know? Like, he might have knocked her up the day that the night that he left. The night before he left, he knocked her up. I don't know. They don't really say, but that. I don't know. I would be pissed. I'd be like, no, you're not going. We have a baby coming. But I don't know. At the same time, this is what he's been training for. This is his whole life, and this is his job. And she thinks he's coming back. I guess you know what you sign up for when you get with a guy like that. Dude, when it breaks that guy's hand and it like. And then the same guy is paralyzed, and has no feeling in his legs and whatnot. So he ends up dying because he doesn't feel that the thing is attached to his leg, which is actually a really cool plot device. I feel like the guy doesn't realize it's on him until it's too late. That sucks. I mean, that's, as much as pain sucks and we hate it, it's definitely a good warning system for us to know something's wrong. So I wish that we could, press a button like, hey, I got it. Like, I know. Okay, you've told me it's a bad thing. I'm going to go get it treated. I'm going to go get it fixed. I'm going to do this. But putting me in agony, upon agony where I can't even function, I can't think, I can't move, I'll die, right? Like, that's a little off. I don't think that works. And then the thing goes down Ryan Reynolds' throat, and then the cool blood in space is underused, just probably because it's expensive and it's hard to make look good. But all the blood pooling in 0G is very, very cool, terrifying. But it's just kind of everywhere, and it just bursts, and he's just like all these pools of floating blood. Really, really cool. Yeah, the thing, of course, kind of looks like a starfish, but it just keeps getting bigger. Would it just keep getting bigger, bigger, bigger exponentially? I mean, in space, it could, right? Like, that's why, there's a barrier to how big something on land can be because of the gravity, but there is no barrier to how big something in the ocean can be, which is kind of trippy, right? Because there's, little gravity in the ocean, so it doesn't pull on the body, so it can grow as big as it wants. But on land, creatures that are born and raised on land, they can only get so big, otherwise their body would succumb to the weight of gravity. So fascinating. But yeah, would this thing just come down here and continue to keep growing and then die because, or I guess maybe it would just stay in the water. I guess, yeah, it probably would like the water. The fact that it ends up in the ocean at the end, it'd probably jump in the water and just kind of attack all of our ocean life, which would be bad, obviously. If the ocean dies, we die. But I don't know. Would it go on land? Can it reproduce and have little guys that run out? I'm assuming it is. Maybe that's what he's doing there at the end. Or they, or it, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. And then let's see, the coolant in the mask stuff is terrifying, right? Because it's 0Gs once again, and the mask is just filling up with all of this stuff, and it's blocking her vision. It's not being able to make her see anything as she's trying to traverse this freaking literal space, and she tries to make this jump, and the shit's getting in her eyes, and she can't swallow any of it because it's toxic, and outside is death. She can't take off the mask. This is like the worst scenario like you could possibly find yourself in. You have an alien species that's attached itself that you don't understand. You're out in the vacuum of space. You have a coolant rupture inside your suit that's filling up your suit with a toxic chemical that you can't breathe in. You're trying to get inside the ship, but then you realize that you can't get inside the ship because if you do, you're going to doom everyone inside the ship to the fate of this creature killing them all, and you sacrifice yourself to save all of them. I mean, she's a hero for sure, but my God, talk about being put in a shitty situation. Awful. And then yeah, Kat, yeah, she sacrifices herself. Terrible. Good on her, but man. And then Calvin, I mean, he can survive in space, but then they also lure him with oxygen. I mean, I get it. He does need it. He can't stay in space forever. But the fact that he can survive in space as long as he can is absolutely terrifying. Because the thing is just pretty much fucking indestructible. He seems to be impervious to heat. Ryan Reynolds' character tries to burn him with some flamethrower type thing, incinerator, and it just does not seem to have an effect on him very much. He's able to survive space. Like, what? This thing has to be, annihilated. And let's see. Talked about all that. I'm not going to spend much time on this. I've talked about this a million times, but Jesus Christ, even in these science movies, even when they're trying to talk about all these different scientific things, and we have all these scientists that are on board and whatnot, defibrillators and electricity does not start a stopped heart. It does not do that. It drives me insane. It's the craziest thing. I swear to you. If I watch like 3 movies, 4 movies at best, I'm gonna see someone's heart stopped. It's completely stopped, dead. We see it flatlined on, a screen, the whole deal. Or they'll check their pulse and be like they have no pulse, and then shock them. The amount of movies, the amount of television shows, even medical shows that try to be accurate, and they're talking about all these different diseases, and they're talking about all these different medical procedures, and they're doing all these things. You cannot start a stopped heart with electricity. That's not how it works. Why do they keep doing this in movies? It's just the drama, right? It's the dramatic visuals of taking the paddles, right? Using the defibrillator and shocking the body, and it has this violent reaction, and then they look at the screen and they're like, up it to 500 or whatever, and they rub them together and clear, and there's this drama to it, but it's not real. It's not realistic. And it happens in every fucking movie, and I really feel like it teaches people bad things. Like, that's not how it works. In fact, an AED, which is an automatic defibrillator, actually reads the heart's pattern, and it's like, okay, this needs a shock or it doesn't. If you were to put it on a dead body, it wouldn't do anything. It would just read it and be like, there's nothing. Like, there's no shock to be had. There's no reading, right? You have to do chest compressions. That's how you get a heart to start again. So why do you guys think this is a thing? Just because of what I said, the drama? But don't you think that some medical shows, maybe it's happened in some, but I've never seen it. I've never seen it addressed in a film ever once, where someone's like, you got to shock the heart, and it's like, the heart's dead, the heart's flatlined. So, okay, I said I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on this, but it's insane. Why do we keep doing it when it would be so interesting for me to find that out in a movie? I've researched it, I've looked into it, I have done my research on this many times to try to figure out, is there any credibility to this at all? No. I've looked on so many different things. I've looked at so many different, like, medical journals and everything. There's nothing. There is no precedence for this. If you shock a dead heart, you can only damage the heart. It will not start it. So what the fuck? What is this? Why do they do this in every movie and every television show? It's crazy. Anyway, the only time I ever see CPR done is when someone drowns. That is the only time I see CPR. I'm not saying that is what you're supposed to do for someone who drowns as well. Anyway, all right. Oh man, when it crushes that guy's leg, same thing with the hand. When his hand, oh my god, his hand, when he pulls it out, woo, dog. Especially the guy who's already paralyzed from the leg. Now he's got to be like, dude, really? And then, yeah, I mean, obviously the third firewall is to just send the thing out into deep space. Another thing that I've not understood, and I'm curious, I would love to talk to like an astronaut or like someone who knows what they're talking about on this subject, but like, when the hull is breached on a spacecraft and you have the vacuum of space, how long, when there's a big hole, how long would it suck for before all the oxygen is out of the room? So like, I would assume not very long, right? I would assume once there's a hull breach and everyone's like holding on to things and it's pulling them and there's all this rushing air and they're like, and they're all yelling and they're breathing somehow. Wouldn't the air get pulled out like kind of quick, like in seconds? And then there'd be a suction still happening trying to pull you out. Maybe, I don't know. Would it still try to pull you out? Or I would assume, right? It's a vacuum of space. It's like trying to pull you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know. But in movies, it's always the hole gets breached and then there's this suction. And it could be a hole this big, the size of a person to fit through, right? Most of the time. Yeah, I don't know. Like, how realistic is this? I'm going to assume it's zero realistic. But that's another thing. In all movies I've ever seen, as soon as the thing opens up, there's just endless air sucking for minutes at a time. I've seen it go on for 3-4 straight minutes in movies. There's no way that's realistic. How could there be that much oxygen in a room? Like, I feel like it would just get sucked out and that would be it. Be done. I don't know. Anyway. I did look this up though to see if the ISS, the International Space Station, does it have a self-destruct? No, it does not. But it does have a protocol to push it to Earth. Or yeah, it's gonna at some point in 2031, I think is what it said. It's gonna make it crash into the Pacific Ocean. If I fucking read that correctly, please look that up again. I'd have to look it again, but I was just looking for that, and I read that also, and it was like, I didn't look further into it. I looked at it, and I was like, that's crazy. I should have looked more, but I'm trying to stay offline as much as humanly possible. Hence why I haven't been posting anything new in a little while, because I'm kind of burnt on online. And of course, the dude who doesn't want to go back to Earth is the one who's like, oh yeah, I'll take it out to space. Like, I don't like going back. I don't want to go back anyways. Like, he refuses to go back to Earth, and of course it's his mission, and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it out. It's kind of poetic for me. Like, I never wanted to go back to Earth anyways, and I'll die and stay in space forever. Yeah, how many people fell for the twist that it's her that's being pushed out into space and him that's brought back to Earth? I don't think many people fell for it, but I think it's supposed to be set up in a way. Like, I don't think they're like, okay, maybe they're trying to trick you into thinking it's her, but I think it's more of, who is it? Right? I think that's more of what the director's going for. Sure, if you just so happen to trick a few people and they're like, oh my god, that's a crazy twist, then then I'll take the kind of like the win there, by association, or what am I trying to say? I don't know, whatever. But like, I think what the director's going for in that scene is he's trying to make you on edge of like, oh shit, is it her or him? Is it her or him? The way they're framing this, I think it's, and you're like waiting, and then when he gets to the window, you're like, please be her, please be her. And no, it's them. I don't believe. I mean, as I said, I think that the director's probably like, yeah, sure, if someone falls for that and they don't think of it at all, that's kind of crazy. I mean, we all have been conditioned to movies at this point, I feel. Maybe if this is the first movie you've ever seen in your life, you might fall for it. But of course, you're thinking the whole time, like, okay, it's probably going to be him. But then you're like, oh, maybe it'll be her. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's her. I would figure it's going to be him, just because that's the more like, oh shit ending. But if it was her, it would still be like, oh, thank God. Like, Earth is okay. But I think this is definitely the more bold ending. I'm sure they shot it both ways. Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? You think that they shot both endings? And, oh, it might be on here. It says deleted scenes, but not alternate ending. I wonder if they shot an ending that was happy and did test screenings and because usually when they spend this much money on a movie, they do test screenings and they love to listen and kind of give the audience what they want, because they're trying to get a return. But on this one, maybe they just shot this ending and this was always the ending it was going to be. But yeah, they're fucked. this creature, I don't know, maybe. But the black box, right? Like, it gets taken with her, and their communication with the ground, which is very limited. At first, it seems to be fine, but then I don't know. I know they send up the third firewall to jettison them out into deep space. And because he tries to say, it's funny, okay, right? Like, the irony is that Rebecca Ferguson's character is the one who insisted on this third firewall as a safeguard against anything like this. And then because she wants to survive like anyone would, she's the one who ends up bringing it back to Earth, right? So if, like, they had just allowed the third firewall to push them into space, there's nothing that Calvin could have done. But because Jake Gyllenhaal wants to save Rebecca Ferguson, and she's like, she is, pushes back on it a bit at first, of course, but at the end of the day, yeah, you want to live. And he makes a good point, like, hey, I don't want to go back anyways. And she's like, yeah, you don't, so I can take that answer. And because of that, they both get into escape pods. Had they not done that, Calvin would have been fucked and not been able to do shit. But because Rebecca Ferguson wants to live, who is the person who wrote that protocol, she ends up being part of the reason why Calvin ends up surviving and coming to Earth. So there you go. Yeah, that's an ironic ending. And then yeah, I mean, you got a dude inside who's like covered in alien shit, and he's coming from space and he's screaming no. No is the same in like every language for the most part. And I feel like anybody can read, no matter what language you speak, like someone screaming like, no! Don't open the door. The fact they open the door is crazy to me. That's actually fucking idiotic. I mean, do I believe people would do that? Yes, because people are morons. So that doesn't surprise me. I'm not saying it's unrealistic. It's just maddening. It just shows me how fucking dumb people are. It's like I see that guy inside and he's like, no, no. I mean, he can't use his hands, but he's looking at him like, no, don't open the door. And you see this crazy, weird shit and you can tell this thing came from space. Yeah, no, probably don't open that door. Let the government take care of it. Or blow it up. Whatever you gotta do. But anyway, that's that. Life. This is the director, the guy who did this, followed this up with Morbius, which is crazy. I never saw that movie, but so I'm not going to speak on it. But obviously, it's not a very well liked film. But I have no opinion on it because I haven't seen it. Fancy that, right? Somebody not having an opinion on something they haven't seen. Maybe other people should try that out. All right, guys, that's it. Life. Live yours. I'm gonna go live mine. Adios.